Hello, and welcome to The Revealing. I'm once again your host, Pavarotti, bringing you information on the Idaho 4 case. Now, as a disclaimer, this channel is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not here to slander anyone, and I'm trying not to use names. With that being said, let's get started today. Now, for those of you that are familiar with my theories and my videos, you know that I'm pretty certain in what I've described. However, I want to start going at this thing in a different direction now. I'm not saying that anyone's guilty or innocent, but I do want to attack the law enforcement measures that they've taken in this case. And the more that I've learned about the IGG information, the more questions come to mind. And I'm going to show you some cutouts of a video I watched recently on the IGG information in a different case and how it can apply to this one. Now, my entire premise is the Drug Task Force provided the names of Mr. Kohberger from the beginning, and that still may be the case, because as you learn how the IGG information works, things start to fall apart really quickly if they're not actually pointing the IGG team in a specific direction. The time frame from the date this atrocity happened to the date that they arrested Mr. Kohberger is just frankly too short. The IGG teams typically take 6 weeks to generate the initial profile to be able to start an IGG investigation. And the reason for that is law enforcement genetic genealogy profiles, or just DNA profiles they use to match up potential assailants, uses 10 markers. It turns out the IGG genetic genealogy markers does not work on a 10-marker system. They need hundreds, if not thousands, of markers to be able to adequately search for an individual through genetic genealogy. And because of the additional markers that's needed, it takes a lot more time to generate that initial profile. So if it takes them 6 weeks to generate the initial IGG profile to start an investigation, how was Mr. Kohberger apprehended based on that in less than 6 weeks? I mean, from start to finish. The only way that could be possible is if they were steered in a certain direction from the beginning. If the IGG investigative team was given somebody's name and told to work in reverse with an IGG investigation, then that time frame may be possible. Now, folks, this is not legal. We don't want law enforcement to be able to investigate in this manner. And this might be why some of the secrecy around this case, especially the IGG information, is very important for law enforcement to keep under wraps. Now, I've got a couple of videos here that I'd like for you to watch on the IGG process.
I'm David Middleman, CEO of Othram.
I'm Kristen Middleman. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer at Othram.
DNA is pretty much all we've ever done. My wife is a biochemist by training, a little bit different than the genetics background I have. Othram's a company that supports law enforcement investigations. Basically, we focus on human identification from crime scenes.
Is there anything else you know about strategizing business-wise? I thought we should take some more notorious cases.
This case was really unique in that there was a lot of attention drawn to the case. There was an online Facebook group with thousands of folks that were working on it.
Do you know what evidence they have?
Skeletal remains. Does it look awesome? Can you see the little DNA thing on my hat? It's very important to me. If you just wanted to look at a bunch of DNA, it looks a lot like this. And these are basically the positions along what's called the human reference sequence. You can cluster them using principal component analysis and figure out.
Wait, go back. Can you say that in like your dumbest way possible?
Alright, sure. There's 3 billion positions that describe your DNA.
Traditional forensic testing right now that the police use to identify people looks at 10 markers in someone's DNA. The sequencing that we do here at Othram looks at tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of markers.
The technology that Othram is using is new. The ideas are new. They look for similarities between the DNA you had stored and the person you found, and you can say, oh, this DNA is pretty close to people from this region. It's pretty close to this family. So you don't get a precise match, you get a clue.
I don't know what you're capable of hiding or not hiding on the internet, but I can tell you that if there's DNA, we can identify you.
When you have a person that's unidentified and you know their DNA markers and you can kind of cluster them around known populations of people that have a similar set of markers, that gives you a clue as to where this unidentified person is from. In this case, we had run the laboratory work, did the DNA testing and the research, and we had an update. We have a couple really good leads. We were able to build a really great profile, and what I can tell you is that there are a good number of matches that tie us back to Louisiana.
Now, one of the charts you just seen was a chart that showed family members during the process of an IGG investigation, nieces, nephews, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers. Well, after further research into this method, I've learned that what can really throw off an IGG investigation is things that you wouldn't typically want to find in an IGG investigation, such as a spouse having an affair with somebody and having children outside of that affair. You know, the other spouse may have never even known that happened. And when they get into a serious IGG investigation, they uncover things like this. And when they uncover things like this, it throws their investigation sideways because it changes the genetic genealogy in the line. Now that makes me think back to the recent documents that was just released on confidentiality. If you remember, if you've looked into those documents, the court has ruled that the defense may show additional information to their investigative team that prior to that did not have that information available to them. But there's a specific order in there, and it specifically prohibits the defense's investigation team from interviewing family members as related to the IGG investigation without prior court approval. Now, when I seen that originally, I thought, why would they not want them to talk to the family members in the IGG investigation? I mean, these are Kohberger's family members. Why wouldn't they want the defense to talk to them? I mean, why wouldn't the defense want to talk to them? I mean, it doesn't make any sense for them to specify that. Oh, but it does now. Because if there was some discrepancies in the genealogy link to Mr. Kohberger's father in that IGG investigation, like for instance, an affair that led to a split in the genealogy lines, well, then they certainly wouldn't want the defense to go and interview those family members and destroy their very fast IGG investigation that led to Mr. Kohberger's father, because we know without that investigation, well, then they would have never got to Kohberger. And on my next video, I'm going to go down a different rabbit hole with Mr. Kohberger and that knife sheath and that touch DNA and destroy that as well. But Let me know how you feel. Let me hear your comments, your criticisms. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be bringing you more information because this is starting to get interesting. Pavarotti out.